Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about using Microsoft Word's tab stop functions to create multiple columns for a resume. So if you take a look at this sample resume right here, you can see that the contact information is divided between 3 columns, whereas the information within the sections themselves are divided in 2 columns. So I'm going to show you how to set those columns up effectively. So first, I'm going to pull up this new document because this will give you a good sense of how this works. So let's say I've got 3 columns worth of material that I want to use here. Now, there are a couple of ways I can go about organizing this. One is I can go to layout and I can select columns and get the number of columns that I want. However, that's a somewhat cumbersome approach because often what will happen is the page will be divided into columns, but you won't have that much control over what gets put into what column. So I don't think that's a very efficient way of doing this. You can also attempt to do this manually, either by tabbing over to create space, or the perhaps much less efficient way would be using the space bar to create spaces. The problem with this is that it's not going to look good. It's incredibly difficult to create consistent alignments doing it by hand like this. So I really don't recommend doing that. I recommend letting Microsoft Word do the hard work for you by creating tab stops. So I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing that you want to do, you're going to go to the ruler here. Well, so I guess first, preliminarily, you want to make sure that your text is left aligned, which Microsoft Word tends to default to, so that shouldn't be an issue for you. Then you want to go to this ruler at the top of the page. Now, if you can't see the ruler, then you want to go to View right here and select Ruler, because that'll show you both this ruler along the top and the ruler along the side of the page. But you want the top ruler. And this is a little bit tricky because you need to put your cursor on the bottom portion of the ruler. If it's slightly above or slightly below where it needs to be, this won't actually properly open the tabs box. So that's a little bit tricky, but you get the hang of it as you do this. So once you get your cursor into the right place, you're just going to double click. And that will open this tabs box. So what you need to do here, I'm going to first show you how to set up 3 columns. So back to sharing this. Okay, I think you should be seeing this pre-designed resume I've built. Hopefully that's what you're seeing. So this is the 3 column setup here. This is what I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to go back to this document I'm working on. So you've got this tab, which at the moment is at 3.06 inches. What I'm going to do is select that and then click center and click OK. That's going to create this little upside down T guy right here. And I'm going to slide that to approximately the middle of the page, which is roughly there. Put my cursor ahead of the information that I want to be centered and just press the tab button. Now what that has done is automatically shifted it over so that the center of this text is aligned with this tab. Because I've center aligned that tab, the center of that, however much I put in the middle column here, is always going to be aligned with the center. So now what I want to do to create the 3rd column on the right-hand side of the page is once again, go over to the bottom portion of the ruler and double click. I want to select this tab stop position, which in this case is 4.94 inches. That doesn't matter. We're going to adjust that. And I want to select right, because that means the tab stop will be to the right of the text. All of the text will come out facing left from there. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Then I'm going to click OK. So whereas the center tab was the little upside down T indicating that this is a center tab, this is a right tab. So it's basically a backwards capital L. I'm going to take that and drag it all the way over to the margin. Then again, I'm going to put my cursor in front of the information that I want to slide over there and just press tab. So that's given me my 3 columns. And the great thing about this is that no matter how many lines of text I put, I will always get that alignment. So if I put another line of text with 3 columns, I once again get that alignment. Now, what if instead of this 3-column setup, I want this 2-column setup? Now that's, again, fairly easy. I can, if I don't have any tabs created, I can just go ahead and create 1 tab right aligned and move it to the right margin. So let's say I want to set up my work experience section, and I want to list my first job. Now, if I only want 2 columns, because I've already got the 3-column setup, this is easy to do. I can double click again on the center tab and then just select that tab stop position and press clear. And that'll delete that tab stop. So the 3.19 inch tab stop is now gone, but the 6.5 inch tab stop is still there. If I clicked clear all, that would remove all of them. So you want to make sure you're clicking clear rather than clear all. Then I'm just going to click OK. And then from this first area of job experience, I'm going to press tab and give the location or whatever it is, whatever piece of information is going into that right-hand column. And again, the same thing as we got above. The spacing will remain consistent with these. So this is a really good way of organizing your resume, in part because one benefit of this is it presents information horizontally rather than vertically. So all of this information takes up 3 lines vertically, but if I were to list each of these things consecutively along the left-hand margin, they would take up 5 lines of information. And because you generally only have 1 page for your resume, you want to make sure that you're using your space as efficiently as possible. And so this multi-column layout is a good way of effectively using using horizontal page space so that you don't have to use vertical page space. It's a great way of designing a resume, and it looks really, really sharp.